No other foe or force can match their might. The once great people of this world now hide in fear. Okay, shaken by the power of sword and spear. The black-clad armies of the Dark One now draw near. But in the distance, the sergeant and the bear appear. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Legions of Romans stand and let their arrows fly. The roaring of dragons and machines fills the sky. Secret agents and the generals they defy. Swarms of orcs and samurai raise their banners high. In the wake of death, only one man stands alone. The sergeant raises his sword, high silver shone. He condemns the chaos the war is has sown. He stands longing for the day he may return home. Great heroes of past and long, no power has seen before. Wings spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Until the war for the wellsprings is won, they will fight until there are none. But a king will stand alone as one, and the bloodshed is finally done. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. We spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation. Great heroes of past the law, no power has seen before. We spread far across the sky, marching across the great divide to save the world from deterioration, to end the age of annihilation, 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 to end the age of annihilation.
Okay, welcome to ToV Live. It is Valhalla time. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the ToV live stream. I am Ryan, aka Tales of Valhalla, and I have with me tonight Sir Heroscape. How are you doing tonight, sir?
You know what? Fantastic.
That is
Cold, but fantastic.
Yeah, slightly chilled. I mean, there's this thing that happens every year, usually around, you know, December, January, February. It's called winter. You know, it's like this little white stuff kind of falls from the sky. You know, it's kind of fluffy, powdery sometimes. People on roads hate it. You know, and it gets really, really cold. Just in case people don't know, you know, it's because, you know,
someone opened the snow expansion early is what happened.
Someone actually did do that. I don't know if you've seen Sir Heroscape's YouTube channel. So we'll blame him. We'll blame him.
Yeah, absolutely. Blame everything on him.
Yep. Absolutely. He's the head honcho here. So, yep. Anyway, We have an interesting night for you guys because there's something new that we're gonna do tonight. Not necessarily it's a TV podcast, but it is still something that I'm putting on ToV Live as information for your Heroscape player that's not necessarily considered Heroscape canon or Tales of Valhalla canon, for that matter. This is trying to get more a look into the Heroscape community and the things that they can do, like the lore and scenarios. And I've been trying to read a lore from the Heroscape community for a little while, but it's just a process that's kind of hard to integrate into one's YouTube channel when you're already doing so much. So I think this might be a way to do it more often when I'm doing just your live streams that aren't ToV podcast. I might just have a guest on and we just read through some stuff and just have some fun with it and read through it. And so y'all can see if it's something that you might want to check into or look into, and check it out. So I noticed that that Iceman, I'm sorry, I forget the last few numbers of them, but Iceman3317, I think so. I might be getting the last two numbers wrong, but anyway, been posting on like the Heroscape Discord a bit. A lot of his a lot of his scenarios, his lore on things. And I thought, that looks kind of interesting. I think I just want to read some of that. So that's what we are going to do tonight, and like I said, have some fun reading through it and scrutinizing it, giving what we think positively about it, and what our overall thoughts are about it. So I'm just going to get that here. I'm going to share my screen and get that up, and we'll just start reading through. There is quite a bit of lore on this.
Yeah, I was looking through this. I'm surprised by how densely packed this is. So I love I love good fan fiction and self lore that people insert in the game. I think there's enough gaps. I love when people kind of there's a million stories you can tell in the setting, so it's always great.
I don't see anything wrong with it, really. And this is called Trek of the Sigil. Sigil, I believe. I believe that's how it's pronounced, Sigil. And that's referring to, I believe, like the nine elves. That we've talked a little bit about that lore before with Jeremy and such. So I think one thing Iceman is doing is just trying to bring in more of that story, I think, with different characters and such. At least that was my guess. Like I said, I haven't read through this deeply. I just browsed. So I guess we'll find out what he has written so far. So I guess I'll start doing this. I'll just read through this first little bit of lore and scenario, and then Josiah can do the next one if he so chooses. So here we go. Trek of the Sigil, December 2024. So I guess these are supposed to be for like last month, and then I guess the next ones are for a few months after as well. Okay, and this is the lore part, which says, with Uller's madness, Sonlin and the others have been looking for a cure. So I guess we're starting off with AOA, actually. AOA, fan lore, which isn't bad. With the elite team that stopped the swarm of the Morrow divided, others have looked to become what they were. After his banishment, Sonlin sought out the Crimson Sigil, a special force of elven wizards from Phaland that Sonlin had been friends with and possibly even helped when they tried and failed to recover the Dire Stone. So he's kind of mixing a little bit of original lore with it, which is nice. He told them of a place he had heard about far in the north, a fortress deep in the wintry forest. It was said to hold a cure to a madness similar to what happened in ages past, but there was no way to check without going there. In agreement, they began their trek. The Trek of the Sigil had begun. And here is the information for this. The campaign is made for 2 people in mind. Player 1 can only use Crimson Sigil members for the entire campaign. This includes Jordan, Arkhammer, Ugliness, Chardris, Emeron, Quintella Gwyn, Aklara, and Morsbane. Thrakis can also be used if you have your own 9th member, or you have the one made by C3V Haddock, and we've talked about Haddock actually in the last few weeks. So that's interesting. They can be included as well. For me, I will be using my own 9th wizard, which uses the Nissa from the Arena of the Planeswalkers, Nalana of the Wayland Trees, which adds some defense, healing, and some firepower to their ranks.
I had to go potty.
Okay, then go potty. I'm streaming right now, bud.
Where
Yeah, I'm streaming, pal.
Oh, you're talking this.
Yes. Okay, go potty, Jose. Okay. Sorry, but I don't know what's going on. I assume my family was in bed, but apparently not. But anyway, okay. Where was I?
Out of the ranks, trek with the Sigil.
Yeah, Trek of the Sigil, the Mirage Drifts. So, okay, we're going to look at... Okay, there's the map. Now, one thing that impressed upon me with this map was the fact that it's very similar to the map that I built for Tales of Valhalla, like the very end of Season 3. I mean, condensed down and smaller, but it kind of has the same type of feel like the Thailand Tundra as like I saw it for ToV. So I was kind of impressed with that. Okay, and then I think there's a little bit of description here. The howling of the wind blew snow. I'm sorry, I'm losing it now that my kid was coming to me saying he had to go to the bathroom. I don't know what's going on there. The howling of the wind blew snow in their faces as they trudged through ankle-deep snow. Cloaks flapping in the wind. How appropriate is this for the wintertime? Flapping in the wind, they held their hoods tightly with both hands, except for 2 who held their hoods with one, the other supporting flames. Meager as it might be, the flames made the blizzard conditions slightly more bearable. More than ever, they were determined. No matter how far north they had to travel, rumors of the abandoned fortress in an ancient forest gave them hope. A hope that could answer the pleas to heal the sickened generals, especially their own leader Uller. Failing once to protect their home, they had no intention to fail again. This time they would succeed. The Crimson Sigil has a new objective now: find the old fortress and search for a cure. However, the journey wouldn't be easy. Traveling for weeks, their first hurdle was approaching. Large glaciers towered over the barren, frozen landscape. The Mirage Drift was in their sights. The Mirage Drift was an ancient glacial valley of drifting glaciers. Few had ever journeyed this far into the Thailand Tundra. Few still return, but those in return have said to face off against enemies and friends not actually there. But the Sigil continues. Fake or real, they would discover if the cure said to be in the ancient forest was there. This is interesting. So kind of like giving the effect that like they could be facing mirages or there's something mystical going on in this
I
place.
hope Jordan is wearing pants, otherwise it's very cold out here.
Yeah, made comments of that in ToV as well. Like you shouldn't be a Roman legionnaire and wander into Thailand Tundra much. At least have some type of fire going. Okay, player 1 can pick any 4 members of the Crimson Sigil. However, if a figure is destroyed, that member cannot be used anymore for the entire campaign. This is interesting. So you have your bunch of other elves basically, but you're only using 4 at least for this one. So I assume 4 at a time, and if one dies, then that's it.
Are squishy, so use them wisely.
Yeah. Player 2 will randomly choose units from any general until you meet 400 points. Because these are mirages, player 2's army is supposed to be random. Interesting. So how would you randomize that, I wonder? How they decide their army is up to them. What we used was randomly choose a general based on a number 1 through 8. Okay. 9 when Valorak gets figures. and then using a random number generator with the amount of figures you have of the chosen general, which is chosen by set color. You can also randomly choose a wave master set and then randomly choose from the chosen set. That's an interesting way of setting up an army. Special conditions. All movement and range is halved, rounding up to the nearest number for the duration of the scenario. Interesting. Example, range 7 becomes 3.5. I don't know how you do that. How do you do 3.5? Explain that to me, Josiah.
4.
Huh?
It's, you round it up to 4.
Yeah, I just. Oh, yeah. It says you round it to 4.
Half X's now. That's,
I guess I need to continue reading what I'm reading. Same with movement. While flying units can be used, the abilities stealth flying and flying cannot be used. Interesting. Win conditions. Player 1 must destroy all of the opponent's figures or survive for 6 rounds. For player 2 to win, you must destroy player 1's figures. If player 1 uses, restart the scenario. Okay, I'm going to finish the paragraph a second. Player 2 gets a new army, while player 1 must choose from the remaining members that were not destroyed. Okay, so that was my question, because I thought, well, couldn't you just continue with the next scenario and just continue with the ones that are still alive? No, you have to redo it with whatever remains of your elf army. And then I guess if you go through this so many times and you have no longer your elf army, you have to do everything over again, or you're just the big loser, you know.
This is really tough. This one's really tough for the elves, just because, I mean, you need Olganesh to make the wizards work for that 2 activations, but he's really crippled because he can't fly and his range is reduced.
Yeah.
So you really have to play this one really smart. Yeah, that's a tough one to get through. This one's kind of a beat grinder starting off. But,
in a sense, but it also happens to your opponent's army too, though. So, yeah. Let's see here. Player 1 victory. A glacier's melted around Jordan, her fire burning hot. Okay. So this is when a player 1 victory happens. Okay. So let me just read through it then. So, okay. Interesting, but it's challenging in such a scenario. So, and this is an interesting way of put it. And I think actually, a friend of guys watching this should take note when it comes to establishing, different kinds of scenarios, because this, like setting up an army, like a Mirage type army of what you might currently have in your collection, and then randomize it. That actually is a very interesting way of setting that type of scenario up, because you don't know what you're gonna get.
That's true.
So there's not much choice in that.
I get that random way to play, because I have all my things in binders, and how my dad likes to play is you just roll the d20 and you just keep on counting cards to the binder, and that's the unit you have to start off picking. So you roll a 19, you count 19 spaces in the binder, keep that space, and that's the unit you have in your army. So it's a if you have card binders, it's a fun way to, if you have no idea who to start your army with, you can do that. Or just, you could also, if you want to do it simpler, just like have a smaller pool. If you have, all the VC units, all the classic, you can kind of create smaller pools.
Yeah,
rid of some that would instantly destroy everything.
It's a great way to include other units as well into it, because like player 1's still trying to figure out, okay, how do I win this scenario? Because really, four of the elves aren't necessarily going to equal 400 points. No. Depending on the elves, I don't think, because some of them have smaller point costs, and then if you're going up against a 400 point army, even randomize that, this is a challenging scenario.
Yeah, it's actually, it's a interesting, the one, I guess, equalizer is the randomness of the picking, because I mean, I like variance in who you play against, because it gives it replayability a bit. One time you can go, for some reason, randomly get a solid orc army, or one time you can get, Dun, the Mind Flayer, and like 3 Nagros, or so, it's just it's an interesting it's a fun way to play. I honestly wish there was more formats that allowed for just total random, like this is the amount of points, but you don't know what you're getting. You have to work with it type of formats.
Right. It also, I think, gives another player, especially a beginner player who might not have everything,
Hmm.
an opportunity to just use what they have. I mean, even if you
Yeah,
don't
you could
have,
just use the AOA master set or the
yeah,
Rise of the Valkyrie master set.
yeah, even if you don't have all the elves either, I mean, there's ways to do proxies for that as well. Or if you only have like a handful, you can adjust everything points accordingly
Yeah.
to still work it out with this. You don't necessarily need everything for it because, I mean, all the cards and stuff is downloadable online, so it's easy to build up even if you don't got it.
Does player one pick before or after random two chooses? Because that would honestly be.
Let's see here. Um,
Oh yeah, so it looks like player one. It looks like this is done simultaneously.
I think
I would like that player one has the option of choosing which units to choose, so they can kind of adapt a bit better. But I
after
guess it's
the
a
other
mirage.
army is
Yeah,
set up.
but I guess it's a mirage, so they're not prepared. So I get the randomness of it as well, like thematically.
Right.
It's definitely a battle between thematic and mechanics.
It Yeah, and it's not really specific on that. So I mean, and since it's kind of an order, I would just assume that player one has to pick the four members first before
Yeah.
the other army is drafted.
Because that's the really big decision you have to choose is if you're choosing Jordan or Chargers. If you're going to go for that big high attack or that like splash damage, that's like the biggest decision that's there. Or if you just go for more of the expendable wizards, throw in your Moore's Bane and kind of like couple stuff you don't mind losing
Mm-hmm.
early on.
Well, and here I'm gonna actually, because I know here we're gonna skip. We're gonna go down here a second. I'm gonna read the real quick the stat card of Nalana, who's the Arena of the Planeswalkers that Iceman has included in this scenario as well, as being part of the 9 to use. Now, this is a 270, apparently
This is a hefty unit,
270 points. So this might help actually with the army as well. Just include it in everything, because 6 life, whatever.
Yeah.
But let me just read through this real quick and let me see again. This is obviously a custom unit. It's not even VC unit. It's just custom. Iceman approved. Let's just put it that way. So let's see what he came up with here. So Nalana of the Wayland Trees, Uller, Elf, Unique Hero, Wizard, Valiant, Medium 4, 6 life, move of 5, range of 5, attack of 4, defense of 4. Now, I mean, some of these stats are going to be halved because of the scenario you're in, but let's see what the special abilities are. Wrath of the Wayland Tree. All friendly elves within 3 clear sight spaces of Nalana roll an additional attack die. Well, that does help. Little bit of a attack buff there. Canopy of the Wayland Forest. After moving and before attacking, choose a wounded hero adjacent to Nalana. Then roll a 20-sided die. If you roll 1 to 5, nothing happens. If you roll 6 to 12, remove 1 wound. If you roll 12 to 18, remove 2 wounds. 19 or 20, all wounds. So that's pretty good chances to remove at least 1. A very good healer, actually.
30% chance every turn to remove at least 1 wound.
Explains the high point cost.
Yeah.
It's not bad. So for this type of scenario, I think that kind of evens the odds a little bit. This would probably be one that you'd want to include your army all the time if that was the case. Which I get it then. Roots of the Wayland Tree. When rolling a defense dice against a normal attack from an attacking figure, all excess shields count as unblockable hits on the attacking figure. Yeah, this Nalana is... I was about to say OP, but not really, because 270 points... that explains it.
It's the ultimate support unit. I actually really like the idea of making kind of boosted units you can kind of use in scenarios. Kind of like this is their niche. You would never use it in a competitive match, but
Right.
It needs to be overpowered for you to have a chance of success.
For this scenario. Yeah, I like it.
It's a fun little ad.
I like it. It gives depth to this scenario. Okay, Hero Guy, how are you doing there? Hero Guy, did I miss where the figure is from for this, Nalana? Here, I'll
That's
reread
the
it.
arena of the Planeswalker. I have it. I can go find it
Yeah,
if
here,
need
hold on a
be, but
second. Iceman explains it right here. I'll read it again for you, Hero Guy. It says the campaign is made for 2 people in mind. Wait, let me go. If you have your own 9th member, or you can have one made by C3V Haddock, they can include as well. For me, I will be using my own 9th wizard, which uses Nissa from Arena of the Planeswalkers. So this is Arena of the Planeswalkers miniature that Iceman himself crafted into their own stat cards. So this isn't an official stat card, like, you know, not a custom official or anything. It's just something that Iceman made up for this scenario. So Nalana of the Wayland Trees, which adds some defense, healing, and firepower to their ranks. So this is so it's an option, not necessarily needed for this scenario, but it seems like a fun option. So it's something that Iceman created, Hero Guy. All right. So let's continue with, okay, so let's just say player 1 victory happens. Let's read through the lore here. Glaciers melted around Jordan, her fire burning hot. Finally, she had to take a knee. Luckily, the fighting had ended. The Mirages defeated. More than a couple of times, she knew they should have died. But even in his madness, Uller's amulet and the power of their home saved them even so far away. Her father's voice called out. The other elves coming into view after fighting their own battle further down the drift. She turned to her father, running to embrace him. For now they were safe, but she wondered, if not for Uller's power, would they have failed again? Was the Crimson Sigil destined to become crimson on the ground? Love the pun. I hear guys saying, I was going to say the target outline looked familiar, actually. Yeah, it is pretty cool. Like I said, this is all fan-made lore and scenarios that we're doing tonight. We're just having some fun reading from a member of the community, things that they've written out. It's very detailed. So let's move to the next one. Josiah, would you like to read this one?
yeah. So we're reading Trek of the Sigil, Memories of Wintertide, which requires 2 Thalanducks and 2 Road to the Forgotten Forests, and exclusively a tree from the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, the centerfold
If you haven't
there.
getting any of those, definitely get some from the Dollar. They work as great Heroscape pieces.
So-
Yeah, let's go down and
It's a nice map.
yeah, I like these little mini maps. They're kind of fun.
All right.
All right, let's read this here. So they had continued their search, hoping that the rumors were true. How would they know when to go back? Each day they traveled north. It grew warmer. Had they really walked so far? For days, even with no snow falling, it seemed like the sun was far less visible. But the warmth they felt was welcoming. The tundra began to wane and trees began to show up until they finally came to a green coniferous forest. It was still cold, but clear, and the land was dotted with lakes so pure you could drink it from straight from the source. To think Valhalla had still lands in which war hadn't touched, or so they thought. As they continued to walk, signs of ancient buildings began to appear. Their feet touched more solid ground, and chargers took a knee to melt the ice. Roads. At some point, people lived here, but it had been long, long ago. They continued to follow the road, coming to a glade. More roads could be seen as if this was a place where many people came to in the past, but largely covered in ice or snow. Something that caught their eyes was the large tree that towered over all the others. Silver pine cones seemed to twinkle in the moonlight, reminding the sigil of good and bad times. Jordan was reminded of the tales she had heard from humans about the holidays. They had many traditions and special days, especially near the end of the year, reminding her of their own special day in winter called Wintertide, which was seemingly similar to the human holidays. She was reminded of her own family aside from her father. The days they spent creating large bonfires and praised the healing flames that, while destructive, fire was also light and life. She created a small fireball in her hand that beat like a small heart. The tree at the center began to glow, and in the distance, the sound of wolves could be heard. Her heart sank. Why? To me! Emeren's voice cried out, striking his staff against the frozen road. Much like the time before Valhalla, they were all gathered as one.
Yeah, I'm about to say, here we go again.
Here we go again. What if they got summoned to second Valhalla? If they the Valhalla you go to when you die on Valhalla. We'll have to ask Jeremy about that one. So player 1 can pick any 6 members of the Crimson Sigil. However, if a figure is destroyed, that member cannot be used anymore for the entire campaign. Player 2 may recruit an army of 500 points, but must include at least 1 Badgeru, 1 Anubian Wolves, and 1 Cossamet Dark Lord. The remaining figures cannot be followers of Olar, Aquila, or Jandar. The normal road terrain rules apply. However, instead of 3 spaces, it only adds 1 movement due to ice. And if you end your turn in an ice space, roll a 20-sided die. If you roll a 5 or lower, the ice is considered broken and you fall in. Add 1 damage marker to the figure that broke the ice. At the end of each turn, before any movement is done, player
round.
1 can roll.
End of each round.
Oh, at the end of each round.
That's important.
Before any movement is done, player can roll a 20-sided die. If they roll 18 or higher, they will find that the big tree at the center needs to be destroyed. Player 1 may then attack the tree, which has its own stat block. It's a pretty much destructible object, it seems. 4 health, 8 defense, weakness to fire. If Chargers or Jordan attacks the tree, they may double all their attack dice of their normal or special attack. The tree must be their main target. And if player 1 wins if they destroy all the figures or destroy the Silvertide tree. And for player 2 to win, they gotta destroy all the other people. Okay.
Yeah. Interesting.
So yeah, fun bit there.
So yeah, go ahead.
Technical thing is the modifying special attacks is it's more mechanically tricky quite a bit, just because you can never do that. I'd more just have the tree take double wounds from any attack from those units, special or normal attack. That way it kind of doesn't have some weird feedback loops on the game itself. But other than that, it's fine.
Yeah, and it's just for Charteris or Jordan. I think probably because they have both flame, right? Flame attacks.
Yeah, they have the flame hands.
Yeah, so that I get that because trees would be a bit more flammable. It's kind of cool though that instead of going for your opponent, you can just attack the tree and then win the scenario.
Alternate win conditions are always fun, and that tree is 8 defense. So I don't even know if any of the elves could kill the tree. None of them have that hit threshold.
Well, I mean, you have an 8 defense roll. You could roll a 0 in defense.
It's possible, yeah, but that's pretty tough. Maybe use 6 defense, but because the elves don't hit very hard, especially with 4. You're looking at Chargerish with the most can attack the tree. I guess with 5. I guess you have to use Chargerish and Jordan. Otherwise, it's pretty much impossible. Or you just kill the wolves if you choose not to do so. So it's very mathematically, it's a tight battle. It's not easier fighting the tree. It's just the tree doesn't fight back.
This is true. It just, to me, it just seems like it's good challenge. It's different than the last scenario, to where instead of like fighting randomized mirages, and that ends up being what you have to do is defeat your enemy. You have 2 options on how to defeat, how to win the scenario. Neither are fun, but at least you have 2 options, and it kind of brings me back. And I mean, Iceman, I think, can probably comment later because he plans to watch this sometime. That, like, from the lore standpoint, I wonder if he not only is he pulling from what we know of Heroscape lore of the 9, which is really cool, but it almost kind of reminds me of The Hobbit as well, because there's a point in time in The Hobbit to where a certain wizard practically burns down a forest to try and get away from the wolves. So I find that something very interesting. And see, we got Justin in the chat saying, "Missed the notification. Current member if you're going live tonight." Justin, just keep in mind, unless I let you all know, I'm usually going live every Sunday. And now, usually I would say every Sunday and every Wednesday, but that might change because pretty soon Wednesdays are going to be devoted to Tales of the Void and Source and Time Strike. But always every Sunday around 9:30. Unless I say so, I'm going to be on. So don't you worry about that. And he's saying, just finished watching Sir Heroscape's Rising Tide unboxing video. February will be here very soon. Yes, it will. Yes, we were blaming Sir Heroscape earlier about the opening of the terrain pack, which causes all the snow to come on us. No, it's wintertime, people. It's wintertime, people. But yeah, no, I saw those Sir Heroscape notifications too. But yeah, this is an interesting one. For me personally, I just like gathering up all these different scenario information because sooner or later, my son's going to be old enough to where it's just like, okay, let's just do these together. So this seems like another fun one to do. Again, though, I think one thing I do have to take away from this is the need, again, for the elf army, as well as and they're not terrible to get, but you do need the Wolves of Badru, Anubian Wolves, and Kusamet. So there are requirements for the opponent army a little bit for that. But yeah, it seems like, since it's a small mini map, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it shouldn't take too long for people to fight each other, really. And
I like the ice rule a lot. I honestly wish that was more the official ice rules compared to what we have now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't like snow and ice rules as is. That's my
well, they're like as needed officially, and
yeah,
usually
it's like
they're not.
If you want to make the game last a long time, then you use heavy snow and slippery ice. But it's like slippery ice; it should like move you around or break or like I don't know. It should be more fun than just a slog to get through. But I was hoping with the re-release of Snow and Ice, they'd have some better rules, but it's not. So these are fun rules. I really like that you have a chance to fall in, but the whole map is kind of you need to get on that to access important areas, but it's also fun that it works on the opponent side too. So the wolves are kind of you have this big army, they're falling through the ice, as you're trying to get high ground with the elves, have a bit more mobility.
Now, one question I do have for Iceman when it comes to these maps. Now, I don't know if these maps, if there's map guide instructions. All I have are pictures. I don't know if there was anything built in Virtualscape to show a tutorial, anything for those. And maybe that's one thing Iceman needs to do next, if possible, just to give us something to build upon. If it's something similar to what's photographed, that's fine. But my question is, where are the start zones? Because that is something that 400, 500 point armies, tend to be, a fair amount of miniatures on the board, and who starts where would be my question. I don't think those instructions were in here, where everything starts.
I wish that the elves would just, even if there wasn't start zones, kind of the elves could be placed wherever they wanted, because they usually are happened upon. They have that advantage. They're just low numbers, so they kind of need that, I think, initial boost of getting into place, before they're ripped. Just because the elves have such low defense, you're looking at 2 defense for most of the elves, 2-3 defense. It'd be nice to have that kind of get together boost or start together. Give you a little bit of a head start.
True, and so I think if I were to have any strong critique. What am I saying? Critique. If I ever have any strong critique so far, it would just be establish your start zones. Which army starts where at the beginning of the game. I think would be a good thing to write in. And that's our harshest critique. We're doing pretty good. So that's
looks really fun. I like the campaign nature of it. Honestly,
yes.
I wish there were more I kind of wish the scenarios Renegade released were kind of a continuous campaign that you could keep on playing instead
Hmm.
of more isolated scenarios. But
Well,
that's a lot harder to do too.
and with Renegade, they're jumping from like characters from one character and situation to another character and situation, and they may be sometimes going back to a said character. But last month you were in this spot with this character. Um, so I mean there is a main narrative plot with Renegade, but yeah, it's tough to decide when there's so much going on, and you're like, well, I want to show what's going on here on the side quest here, so you got to take up a month for scenario time for that. It's a tough thing to juggle, you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, personally, I mean, this is why they don't pay me any money though for this, because I'm not part of the lore team. But personally, I would just stay with the main narrative,
Yeah.
and just build it that way. But then again, that's just me. Um, I
I
I
like the
could be wrong with that.
broader scope, but I do like that you can kind of, you know, play lots of mini battles in a day. Kind of gets, and they're all very uniquely structured. I like that. There's some fun objectives and things to do for each one.
Hmm.
I think it increases the replayability of this because you'd be like, oh, let's try the Trek of the Sigil today. Let's see if I can
Hmm.
actually get through this because it's definitely harder, I think, for the elves
Yes.
compared to player two. So it's more like you're doing kind of like a roguelike game. We're like, all right, let's see if I can get this or get this the right odds or try different things out because odds are probably first time you play this, second time you play this, you'll probably lose
It's
because you
like
don't know what to
it's like
expect.
playing Halo on hard mode, you know. You're right, and I think, and it's even based off the lore, because I mean, you can read the player one victory next if you want in a second, but it it shows like the growing toughness of the situation within the lore, to where this isn't easy. They're having a very hard
Yeah.
time through all of this. So do you want to read that, Josiah? Go ahead.
Yeah, the player one victory.
Mm-hmm.
Blood ran down Jordan's arms and back atop a snowy hill, turning the pure white snow red. As the tree burned, all the images of the wolves vanished before the crimson sigil. She fell to the ground. Arkmer got to her. Arkmer first to get to her. How did you know about the tree? Arkmer asked. I I don't know. I just thought when the tree began to glow, the wolves arrived. He struggled to speak, coughing up blood and staggering. Arkmer quickly steadied her. Nalana was there next, kneeling beside the young elf, snow turning redder with each passing moment. Shh, don't speak, Nalana said, raising her staff in the sky. I call on the powers of the Wayalan tree to heal her. We have destroyed your tree, but it was only the way to survive. She called out. A warm breeze pulsed from her staff and leaves flowed out, covering Jordan. Gwen arrived next with Chargeras, who was struggling to get to his daughter. Thank the Wayland trees, he spoke, kneeling beside his daughter as she healed. Because of you, my daughter, we have conquered what we all feared. Now we can look towards the future. Our flames have long been considered cursed by many, but today you showed us it is a blessing. Oh well, that's a sweet little anecdote.
Hmm. Hmm. And I'm gonna leave my final more comments, because I'm short. I'm really impressed with what Iceman has done so far.
Yeah,
But
the narrative is very touching,
yeah.
and the elves have such for some reason have the most flushed out lore of any of the other units. So it's nice to see that dot dived into more.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't mind. This is making me wanting to have like another like elf, like a Phaland themed master set, like just
Oh
lots
yeah.
of elves and kind of that arc kind of be brought to Valhalla. That would be really fun
Yeah.
because there's lots of still dangling threads. Um, yeah, yeah, no, that's. I would love to know more about the because magic somehow seems both common in Phaland, but also kind of like a rarity. Like elf wizards aren't super common, compared to the rest of the elves. It's not like everyone's a magic user. So I like that lore story questions that rise up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. All right. let's do this last one. Trek of the Sigil, Castle of an Age Past, and this requires a lot of stuff, a lot of sets. Wait, what does it say?
2000 X plus wave 5 to
and 7
hexes.
hexes. Okay. Yeah, Road to the Forgotten Forest, times 2, Fortress of the Valkyrie, and 1 AoA master set for 8 tile hexes for the back. Okay. And so, well, this one looks like this is where the start zone is for this.
Yeah.
So at least we
will like this map here.
Yeah. And it looks like you're going to be using practically all of them. But let me read the lore first for this. It says, continuing on from where the Silvertide tree burned, the Crimson Sigil had followed the snow-covered road. What they found amazed them. A vast ancient city stood at the bottom of a mountain, but no life stirred. There was no burning of wood, no flicker of fire, yet some buildings still stood, resisting the passage of time, but many did not. They knew Valhalla was a vast, unexplored world, but who would have imagined this was here? How many more parts of Valhalla still remain shrouded in mystery? From a logical standpoint, they had followed the tundra to the other side of the world, into a time-lost realm untouched by war. Following the road that serpentine through the village, they came to the end. At the gentle rise, the road continued through forested land, leading up to a castle built into the side of the mountain. Mostly in ruins, but walls still stood. But that was not all. Sculptures of what appeared to be giants and trolls, similar to those of Phelan, stood frozen in time. Oh boy. They approached the castle, and the ground began to rumble. They gathered to support one another. But what they saw next took them aback. Those statues moved. Oh, here we go. They were no longer alone. Trolls and giants still roamed these lands, and from atop the battlements loomed 2 giant elementals made of ice. There we go. Here we go. This is me. This is all me. The ice was also alive. There we go. Oh my goodness. I'm hooked. Okay. You had me at hello. Like I said, I haven't read through all this, but that just makes me so giddy because it makes me just think back to my own Tales of Valhalla stuff. That just puts a darn smile on my face. Iceman, I don't know if you've watched Tales of Valhalla: The Aftermath Chronicles, but now you need to watch like seasons 1, 2, and 3 now, especially the end of season 3. You'll get a kick out of it.
I like the self-insert of the Iceman.
Yeah.
The greater ice elementals.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, player 1 can use all remaining Crimson Sigil figures that have survived. Player 2 recruits an army of 700 points. Well, it's gonna stink if you only have say 2.
Yeah.
2 elves left. Recruits an army of 700 points, but must include at least one of each: Frost Giant of Moth, Ice Troll Berserker, and Greater Ice Elemental. Ooh, ouch. Yeah, that's Halo hard mode, all right. Just those 3 themselves. That's tough.
Yeah.
There are no special rules. Okay, win conditions were each team had to defeat the other side. Interesting. So no special rules. It's just that's wow.
So in order to win this mode, you have to keep Derrickis and Olganesh alive to get to the top of that castle, and then you have a chance because they can't get. Does the map have ladders up there? It doesn't.
No.
So.
But
yeah.
Again, this is a small mini map. You could probably expand on this if there's no rules on map building. Or even start zones, because I don't know if this is where they would start or not. I think you might want to build a little bit more for room, but again, it's good to keep everything close too, so you have a quicker battle. And you do have like say the trees
Trees.
for protection and
And I guess
such.
they could draft some people with range and stuff like that too, but that's really your because if you fight on the ground against those
700-point
guys, it's going
army.
to be
Yikes.
what is
I'm sorry, you're breaking
Frost
up a
Giant
little
attack with like?
there. Josiah, what's up?
Oh, what is?
Uh-oh. Okay. I think we're getting having technical difficulties with
What
Josiah there.
is Frost?
No,
Do you hear me?
didn't hear the question.
Oh, I was just saying, what's Frost Giant's attack?
Here, I can look that up. 3 shakes of the lamb's tail because I have that. I already have this up. Just give me 1 second. You said Frost Giant? Right?
Yeah, because
Hold on a
I
second.
haven't looked at his card in a while.
Frost Giant, 140 points. You said, what's his attack? 4.
4.
But he's got like, let's see here. He's got like some special abilities that are fun. Except Frost Giant by itself is fun. It's like,
Yeah.
hi. It's yeah, let's just say he's fun. I mean, I can read it real quick for those of you who want to know Frost Giant, because not everybody has this guy. I actually do. But Indomitable is one of his abilities to where if he begins his turn unengaged, he can add 2 to his move value. And
So he's attack
if
with
it
6.
begins its turn engaged, he can add 2 to his attack value. So unengaged move value plus 2, engaged 2 to your attack value. So that goes from 4 to 6. If you're engaged in Battle Frenzy, meaning that you have a 20-sided die roll chance of attacking again, and a Dying Swipe, you can roll attack dice. Let's see here. It says, okay, I'm going to read. If this Frost Giant is attacked with a normal attack by an opponent's figure and receives enough wounds to be destroyed, roll 3 attack dice, 1 at a time for each skull rolled. It may inflict 1 wound on any figure that is adjacent to this Frost Giant. Figures affected by Dying Swipe cannot roll any defense dice and can receive more than 1 wound each.
Yeah. You cannot get next to this guy, or he's taking out an elf turn.
No, that's crazy.
2 potential unlimited attacks of 6. And once he dies, oh yeah, this is a tough one.
And that's
This
just
is like
one.
That's the. Then you have. Yeah, that's wow. So definitely have to play this one really smart. The fortress is your key to victory here, and you're probably gonna have to lose still 1 or 2 units. I wish honestly the 9 had some like Warriors of Ashra, just so you had some kind of bendable bodies you could lose, just to kind of add to the mix. I think if I would run this, I would give them like 2 or 3 squads of Ashra that you can kind of include as instead of like the figures, so you can kind of have some bodies, that just absorb some hits.
Like if you're thinking in like in Halo play mode, like this would be hard mode, and then like putting some like Astra squads in would be like normal, not easy but normal. Easy would be like adding Raylan or something.
You still have to, because this still uses order markers, so you still have to do it. But that way, if the giant is going crazy, he's taking out your pawn. You have some things you can lose without. Once you lose Olganesh, this whole game gets a lot harder.
Yeah, well, if you do win, you get to have the fun of reading like the end of the lore, but since we got it, we can read it. So I'm gonna do that, and then we'll give our final thoughts on like this and this whole thing, which I'm very impressed with it. But let's just read the Player 1 Victory and see what it says. Arkmer, Gwyn, and Thrakis, unable to continue, and everyone else with numerous wounds, the battle with trolls giants seems to fade. Up above, the sun begins to shine. The threats dead on the ground, they can finally take in how beautiful the area was. But as they studied the giants and trolls, they quickly realized they were also from Phaland. As they put 2 and 2 together, they soon realize this was not the first time armies have been summoned to Valhalla. These are giants and trolls from Faeland of a long time ago, but they hadn't been seen in centuries when we left. Ugliness hopped off his Pegasus, walking over to a place, a hand on one of the dead giants. Are we sure Utgar had never had people here? Chardris asked. If they did, why leave? Why? They could have built an army in total secrecy and marched south to crush all of Valhalla. Nalana spoke. She's right. No, I think these giants were here long before Utgar, Emeron spoke. So, this last war, it wasn't the first time generals had summoned beings from our world, Jordan asked? Correct. And the well springs? They must have been used in the past and hidden away, Aklara spoke. Just how many of our people from legend were summoned here and never returned home? Is there even a chance to return? Jordan asked. Chardris walked over to his daughter. I don't know, but remember what Sonlin told us. Jandar saw visions of Morrow invading Earth. Perhaps no one ever controlled all 15, or perhaps there is more, or perhaps they choose not to return after spending so much time here. Just think about Shiori. She has been here longer than on Earth. What does she have to go back to? What do we have to go back to, especially with the Dire Stone gone? Morsbane looked down. But who has the power to use the Dire Stone? All our enemies are here. Cyprian, Kusamat, Sudima. Perhaps our home is safe, Morsbane spoke. Let's not worry about the future. Nala, heal up Gwyn, Arkmer, and Thrakus. If we can't go home, then this is our home, and we must protect it from this coming war. Within that castle, perhaps there is a cure. We should rest. Whether the cure is fake or real, we have much land to travel back across, Ugliness spoke. I'm sorry, Ugliness. I say ugliness all the time.
Ugliness. His poor feelings.
I know. Jordan studied land and how more trees and vegetation was growing. It was cold, yes, but there were no doubt traveling south again. Walking back across the tundra is reckless. If we can find the ocean to the east or west, then we can sail, and perhaps find more about this world yet revealed, Jordan spoke. Okay, and yeah, it says below here, below is the card which you already read, for Nalana. After her rebalance, when I played with her in the last scenario, I could tell she was overpowered, so hopefully this changes things up a little. Also counting Thrakus, it brings all of the Crimson Sigil to a total of 1,000 points. Okay, interesting. All right. Well, 270 is a big chunk, I guess. If you didn't have her, that would be tough. Okay, so here I'm going to go back to this. So for this this last scenario, like I said, that's amazingly tough. And I guess it just goes to show that you need to play very, very smartly on your first two scenarios to get this last one to have as many figures as possible, to have as much of your 1,000 point army as you can have. Now, my question is actually, and I suppose you can make this up as you go as well. Do you keep wound tokens on you from the previous scenarios?
Yeah. If you fully heal, which I think the narrative would justify, it talks about after each one how they heal up.
They do.
So
yeah.
maybe it's not in the rules, but I can't imagine doing this without a fully healed. You know, if you carry your wounds through, because first one's 400, 400, 700. Is there another one 400? How many scenarios? 3 or 4?
There's 3. There's 3 scenarios.
3.
Yep.
So you're fighting against 1,500 points with never your full point usage. So you really have to be conservative. I would, if I was playing this, I would heal whatever units survive. Heal or fully heal for the next battle. Otherwise, it's it's very tough. That's hard. That's legendary mode right there.
I I guess I would start. Yeah, I guess I would start like you said with this. You know, you play through it once, maybe with like you said, Warriors of Astra, like buff to your army, just like normal mode, and then once you complete that that way, then you start without. You do it without them, and maybe like to up the challenge too, is that you can include like you heal wound tokens every round, and then to get, like you said, legendary, you don't heal wound tokens after every round, and see how far you go. Just to keep on upping. So there's at least 6 ways to start small and then up the challenge every time to play through it again. This is really
I think
fun.
this is also fun scenarios to have treasure glyphs in that only
Mhm.
the elves can use or carry around. I think that's a fun way to add a little bit more help to the elves as well.
Mhm.
Just to kind of give them something to go towards and work with. You know, you get the I forget all the treasure glyphs, but there's some fun ones that I think would really work here. Then in terms of the narrative, this last one, it's touched on something that I think a lot of fans like. It's been hinted at in a lot of the lore is that like this isn't the first war on Valhalla. There are
Mhm.
civilizations and that that have passed and existed before. Like this is if you kind of study Norse mythology, it's a very cyclical type of story where it's
Mhm.
Ragnarok happens and then it all starts all over from scratch each time. So it's kind of I like that there's hints of this happening before, and I would love for Renegade to kind of dive more into that. Like what's been left behind. You know, I think when Wizards took over and made the Underdark the D&D Underdark, I think they kind of cribbed some stories where there's like whole underground of ancient civilization that we never like fully get to explore now. Also, I like the idea that if you keep on going north, there's more map that we have yet to explore. So, some fun attention to detail for sure in
it
the narrative.
it almost seems like they crossed over Thaylink Tundra. And here, hold on a second. I'm gonna drop a second here. Okay, go down. It's almost like they cross Thaylink Tundra above here. I'm sorry, you can't see this, Josiah, but they go above and then they go on the other side of the globe,
Yeah,
basically. And so totally, we're not talking about any islander land, but just land on the other side of the globe, which is
which means it's a one continuous landmass that wraps around the continent. Which I mean, we don't know what's north, and like if you
north, and
look at the
then the other
Valhalla map,
side.
yeah, like if it's just like a long map that kind of encircles the Earth, that's itself
I mean, it's almost
kind of an
like
interesting.
if you go up, United States, up past Canada into like the northern regions, and then you go to the other side. You got Russia,
Yeah,
Europe, there eventually. So it's almost like envisioning it like that way, which is is a very interesting take. You can tell that Iceman put a lot of thought into the lore part of this. I mean, I can see threads of story, and he seems to be, whether knowingly or unknowingly, pretty versed in Heroscape lore, because
yeah,
there's a lot of nods towards things that
there's deep
I've
cuts.
only heard Jeremy mention sometimes, which is impressive. It's
Yeah,
very
like
impressive.
the sorcerer, the fire powers being a curse is like a one line blurb from Jordan's bio. Like
Hmm.
it's a pretty deep cut. Uh, some of these things they reference. So it's yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a fun narrative experience. I kind of like the progression. Uh, I would like because it honestly seemed like they were more on a personal journey. Like they weren't fighting Utgar's forces; they were fighting kind of the demons and their mind half the time.
Right, and
Which I found interesting.
they were finding a cure for all the like
Mm.
Valkyrie generals. I don't think they really found it. Um, but that's the AOA thread, in that story, but it's its own separate type of scenario, to where the nine now aren't kind of around, so it gives kind of explanation to, okay, where did the nine go? Well, they're doing this now. They're not, uh, part of any mainline Age of Annihilation story because they're on this own journey basically. So that's yeah, very impressive, very impressive. But again, and when it comes to like the scenarios themselves, like I said, just the little tweaks that we mentioned. I think the main primary correction would be like build map instructions and where are the start zones. I think those are the two just biggest issues with this. But overall, it's like really well thought out, very well written by Iceman.
Yeah.
And our hats off to you, Iceman.
Yeah, it's
I'm
very, very compelling read. Very, I was invested in all these characters.
yeah.
Just it's a scenario read. I didn't think I'd have this, a bunch of emotional depth between
Oh my
those. But
goodness.
it wasn't big, it wasn't long, but it was
Mhm.
very short and poignant. All the little bits we got, which I appreciated.
It's very deep lore, and I don't know if like I gotta. I'll what I'll do to anybody watching, if you go to the Tales of Valhalla Discord, because I don't think there's any link for this information. At least I don't remember. I know that Iceman did post this, I believe, on the Heroscapers Discord and maybe the Renegade Discord. Yeah, I think the Renegade Discord as well. He just copy pasted these scenarios and stories on. So if you want to go to those discords and find them, go ahead. But if you want to go to Tales of the Valhalla Discord, I'm gonna take this document and post it on there as soon as this stream is done, so y'all can access this information here. But this is definitely going to be saved in a folder, and I definitely want to play this because not only does it present a fun challenge and multiple ways of challenge, it just provides a really great way of being invested in not just the characters but the world and what Heroscape is about. And that says something from just fan. I mean, this is fan fiction. This isn't original canon, but you feel like it should be. It's that good. I'm impressed with it.
Question: would you want to play as player 1 with the elves or player 2 when you play? Like, which one's more appealing?
Personally, I'd rather be player 1. I'd rather
Okay.
do the elves. I'd rather do the challenge for it, but I don't mind switching off. I don't mind going back
Player
and
2,
forth.
you gotta be kind of brutal. You gotta be in the
Yeah.
mindset, I'm gonna win. No feeling bad
No,
about killing your opponent. You have to be kind of like, hey, I'm here to get you. You know. Yeah, I wish we lived closer, Tails. I'd like to play this with you. This would be a fun one to go through.
rain check. You never
Yeah.
know. You never know in the future. But yeah, it's definitely one that I'm gonna put in the back burner. And Iceman, if you don't like build maps or start zones, I might end up doing it myself. Just so I can prepare for my son or other people in the future to do this, because on a cold winter's night like tonight, it would be a fun one to bring out. I mean, the maps, our mini maps are relatively simple to build if you got a good amount of Heroscape collection, and just have fun with it. This is great to pass through the winter time. And you gave us 3. It's not just one scenario. This is 3 with such good
This is a whole campaign right
written
here.
lore. Yeah, I'm impressed. And I was gonna say, Joe Crazy needs to develop his own version of something for Heroscape Adventures based off this. That would be rather fun to do something like this. It would. All right. And any final thoughts, Josiah? Here, I think we can take this off, and I'm gonna stop sharing now. Wrap up.
No, I think it's just, I've said most of it is just really well written. I love the narrative flourishes. It's you realize, like, it feels like you're writing like a fan story, but you realize, oh wait, this can be an interactive story. So it doesn't feel like it's just text. It doesn't feel like it's just scenario. It's a healthy combination of both. I felt very invested in the narrative. I would love a sequel to this to see if they find a cure, the next step of this adventure. Just because that's my one. You want this campaign to end, but I think they reach a conclusion for this first arc. But I would love to see more arcs or more variations of this. Like you can pick any kind of units or other things. So I think it was really fun. It's a different way of looking at the game. It's like a very I can tell that you like the D&D campaign modes where you kind of have to go do the crawl and survive each encounter, and I think it's fun. So props for all that.
Yeah, I agree. Iceman, if you're going to do another scenario in the future based off this, take your time. Of course, we don't want you to rush. Take your time with it. Because I don't know how long it took you to do this. I know anything well done usually takes some time to invest in it. So depending on what your walk of life is, but yeah, if you do something else in the future, let me know. I know Iceman's created a lot of custom units from Arena of the Planeswalkers as well, that he's posted on Heroscapers. So there is that. Might look at that sometime as well in the future as need be. But yeah, develop a lot of stuff. I think just for his own personal enjoyment. But now the rest of us in the Heroscape community can partake in this fun, because this. I mean, like I said, we both walked into this not knowing what this was going to be. We just skimmed it. We knew there was a lot of stuff in there, but I think it it exceeded my expectations, which is something that I think is the biggest compliment there. So keep on writing, sir. Keep on developing those stories, and let me know, and we might end up talking about others in the future. So with that, we will wind down. Josiah, would you like to plug your channel, sir?
Yeah. I'm the Roguescaper on YouTube and everywhere else. So you can if you want some, new scapes coming, new gear. So we got some painting tutorials in the lineup, as well as just some other escape related things that are currently being edited and worked on.
You painted your Hellforge in red flames. It's like, yes.
Yep.
That's kind of what I want
So I
to
got
see.
some of the new units a bit early. Painted those. So be on the lookout if you're have no idea, you can't afford the pre-painted stuff and want to get some paint on them. I definitely love helping out in that regard. And yeah, I was on a bit of a hiatus because of the holidays, but back, happy to be here. Looking forward to another good year escape, and just always happy to be here with you, Ryan. So
Thank you, sir.
I yield my precious time.
No, and I thank you for coming on board tonight. And for everyone else, again, Ryan, Tales of Valhalla. Of course, I have that channel soon. If you want to check out Tales of the Void YouTube channel, because Adventure Together Games is going to be releasing their stuff. Not just releasing, shipping out stuff. We should be getting some stuff sometime first quarter, like the next couple months. We should be getting stuff, and I can't wait for like the Time Strike Source Golf stuff to look at this terrain coming out and give it a good unboxing, which we'll do soon. So, and that will mostly be on the Tales of Void YouTube channel. Of course, Heroscape is still going strong. So on this channel, you can see me every Sunday, sometimes Wednesdays for the foreseeable future, but definitely Sunday nights we'll be here. Next Sunday night, we will be doing a ToV podcast. Can't wait to bring in the new year with a new ToV podcast. Looking at or talking about some classic or mainstream Heroscape units or lore. Should be a fun time. And then this Wednesday, I don't know. It depends on when Renegade's going to break out their own new lore and scenario for the month of January. If they do it sometime at the beginning of this week, then that's what I'll probably do this Wednesday and read through that myself and see if it's as good as what we were reading tonight. Well, only time will tell with that. But with that, I do thank you all for watching. See you, like I said, on Wednesday or Sunday. You have a purpose in your life. Find it, pursue it, live it, and we'll see all of you next time. Later now. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.